In the 1930s, Bristol, Tennessee High School was located on Alabama Street in a building that was built in 1917. While the building was architecturally beautiful with a large majestic dome and a second-story balcony, the building was cold with small cramped rooms. Bristol was growing, and a plan was conceived to convert the high school into a junior high and build a new modern high school and a brand new elementary school to replace the old Fifth Street Elementary School, which at one time had taught classes 4 through 10. An 8,000-seat stadium had already been approved along with a flood control project for Beaver Creek. At the time, the federal government was offering financial help from the Works Progress Administration, especially for educational projects, but Bristol was low on the list of priorities. So Finance Commissioner George Vance went to Washington to try and procure federal aid. The project was turned down 3 times, but finally Harold I. Ickes, head of the WPA, carried the proposal to President Roosevelt, who finally approved the project. The federal government would pay 45% of the cost, while Sullivan County and the city of Bristol would pay the rest. The first project was the stadium, which was started in 1934, a perfect WPA project consisting of moving large rocks from the Beaver Creek project, cementing the rocks together and making a large, simple structure that would serve as a stadium for Tennessee High School, Virginia High School, King College, Emory and Henry College, and the pre-integration schools of Slater High School and Douglas High School. The stadium was completed in 1936. It was also 1936 that the construction of Tennessee High School and Central Elementary started, and both schools opened their doors in the fall of 1939. Central was a slightly smaller school back then, with the 2 wings being built only through the original front section, and there was no gymnasium. The old Tennessee High School building on Alabama Street was renovated and became Tennessee Junior High School. Then in 1959, George W. Vance Junior High School was dedicated, and the old junior high was torn down to make room for an expansion of Central's 2 wings and also adding a gymnasium. Central served the community well for 73 years. Its playground was used during the summer months for many years as a carnival sponsored by the athletic boosters, and the summer school playground program kept the local kids out of trouble. Then in 2009, the school was closed.
It became obvious that Vance was going to be our next step in 2015 when we were scheduled to start construction. And the central site was really to be incorporated in the Vance site, and that would allow that site to be a little bit bigger. And we also realized that we could use the property now for athletics, but we also would help us when we did Vance because it would allow us to not have to stage construction in advance, because we could use the open spaces in advance to build the building and then use the open spaces at Central for the kids to do their sports, their PEs, their football, all the activities that a kid needs to do when they're in junior high.
And in September of 2011, demolition of the site began.
It's an old building with a lot of history, and a lot of people in Bristol have history with the building, and we don't take that lightly. We've paid a lot of attention to that. We've actually incorporated the bell as well as the original brass plaque into the Fairmount School.
Central Elementary will always have a warm spot in the hearts of thousands of students who attended the noble old school. Bricks from the building were set out for alumni to have as a memento, but there's some other artifacts of the old school, living mementos.
As everybody knows, we're doing some work at the old Central Elementary School site. It's going to be leveled, some playing fields for athletics. There were some trees around the parking lot and over by the school, and a lot of these trees were planted years ago by the teachers and their students, and we just really, they're beautiful, mature trees, and it was just a shame to bulldoze them. So the idea was put out there, well, can we move them? So we can. We found a tree mover out of North Carolina that was willing to come in, and we hope today and tomorrow relocate about 8 trees. We'll put 5 of them here at the new dog park. We're going to take a couple to Fairmount Elementary School to put by the new playground to provide a little shade for the kids there, and then we're relocating one to the downtown center.
It's just like planting any tree. You're going to go through a transplant shock, and that's true whether you're planting a small tree or a large tree. These are red maples. We've got them in North Carolina. They transplant very well, and hopefully they'll do good for you here in Tennessee.
As time passes on, the cityscape of Bristol will change. But in this instance, for many years to come, these will be living mementos of our beautiful elementary school on Edgemont Avenue.